Welcome back, everybody. It's your boy Sean, the American in Krakow, still sitting in the studio. We're going to do something a little different today. I'm not just going to talk to you about random events in my life where I was riding a motorcycle, but I'm going to try and do something that I've been asked to, which is kind of an honest user's review of the gear I use. My point here is to talk about this gear as someone who's used it and used it for some time and give you my feedback of that piece of equipment. So today we're going to kick this off with this bad boy right here. This here is my Shoei NXR or RF-1200 for any of you in the States. Again, this helmet is a pretty popular helmet. So any technical or new unboxing or new review, like these things are out there and they've been out there for some time. This helmet is quite old. I believe it's been manufactured like this without change for probably over 6 years at this point. So all the information you would want to know, technical information about this helmet is available on the web. What I'm going to talk to you about is what is it like using this helmet as an everyday riding helmet. This was my go-to helmet. This was the only helmet I wore for a very long period of time. It didn't matter if it was just street riding, carving up some twisties with the buddies, camping, long trips outside of the country. This was my go-to helmet. And I can tell you right off the top, it is probably one of the most overall comfortable helmets that I have worn in a long time. And what I mean by that is it the lightest helmet I've worn? No. Is it heavy? It's not. The lightest helmet I've worn is my Scorpion XO1400 Carbon. That thing is light. But it's light enough that you don't notice it when you're wearing it all day. You don't feel the weight of a helmet dragging you down, with long extended rides. The other thing that I really appreciated about the helmet is its ventilation. In one of my previous videos, I talked about how I went from not wearing helmets to open face helmets and then finally coming to the terms with the fact that I will probably only wear full face helmets going forward. And this helmet is one of the helmets that kind of helped me get to that decision. The most uncomfortable thing about wearing a full face helmet, especially as you get into the warmer months, is getting warm in a sealed off, closed off helmet. And that's where having a really good ventilation system comes into play. And this helmet has a really decent ventilation system. Right off the bat, you can probably see just about there. There is a chin vent that's very easily actuated. Just one big sliding tab, so with your gloved hand or not, it opens. You can feel it click. And it's technically, I think there's two positions. There's a fully open, a half open, and then closed. I don't know if I was ever able to get like the half versus full with my glove on, but I was able to open and close without any issues. That vents right into the kind of chin guard area, and that helps move air up the face, keeps moisture and any condensation that may be forming inside that area of your helmet moving. Then you come to the top vents. So there's 3 of them right on the top. There is a central one here, and this one it's a slide left and right for you to open and close. Again, it looks really small. It is very small, but because it's the only thing in the center of the helmet, it's very easy to hit with a glove, and then when you slide it, you do feel the positive movement of that vent. And then there's the 2 more on the side here, and these just kind of slide back and forth. These are 2 positions each, so there's a half and fully open and closed. All 3 of these vents vent into the top portion of the EPS to help keeping that, any moisture, sweat, hot air just built on the top of the head to the top of the helmet, moving. And finally, you've got the rear vent right there. There's a gap right under here, and this causes negative air pressure. And that negative air pressure will cause a drag or a draw of air from here. It's a vacuum basically, and it pulls. It pulls that hot, moist air from the helmet out. So that is the overall design of the ventilation system, and I can honestly tell you, even on the hottest of days, unless I was stopped at a traffic light or stuck in some form of bumper-to-bumper traffic that I couldn't filter or weave through, I never had to just kind of like do one of those crack the visor and ride to let air in or fully open it. I never had to. As long as I'm moving on the bike, there was enough air moving in here to keep me comfortable. My next favorite feature or comfort feature of this helmet that made this one of my favorite helmets, and that is this visor. This visor is not the stock visor that comes on the helmet. The stock visor, there's nothing wrong with the stock visor that comes with the helmet. I didn't change it because there was a issue with it or anything like that. There was just a feature that Shoei sells as an additional visor that interested me and eventually became one of the most important things that I completely forgot about. And that is, this is a transition visor. So, right now, it's perfectly clear. It's dirty, sorry, it's a used helmet. But this transition visor, though, was a game changer for me. This was the first time I had a visor that did this. And basically what that is when you go into the sun, it darkens itself. So it becomes a tinted visor, a smoked visor. And then when the sun sets, or it goes down, or it gets darker, it clears. This is the one and only visor I had on this helmet, and it worked perfectly to the point where I forgot about it. I didn't even think about it until I changed helmets and had to go back to a two-visor system. That was a huge, huge portion or piece of why this became one of my favorite helmets. Another thing, as I've got this off, I want to point out is it also comes with, or it didn't come with because I had to buy this separate, but it has the inserts for a pin lock system. And the pin lock system that Shoei provides is the pin lock 120. So that should mean that you should be able to keep this helmet and visor closed for about 120 seconds before this would start to fog up on you. Pin lock, I'm not going to go into the details of that. You can Google what a pin lock is, but basically it's a second layer that seals. There's a silicone bead around it, and it seals against the inside of the visor, and it becomes a double pane. So like a double pane window. So there's a layer of air trapped between. So the temperature of the outside, the temperature in between, and the temperature inside, they never really cross. So you don't get that effect of causing condensation on the inside of the visor. Another interesting thing, which I kind of did without talking about, was it's also a toolless visor system. So you just kind of line up the tabs, pull the release, and that is it. So comfort, ease of use, because I didn't have to carry two visors, tinted or clear, pin lock ready. I believe the original helmet came with a pin lock insert, so I was able to just switch it from the original to this. I didn't have to buy a second pin lock, but it is designed to work with comm systems. So I was able to install my Pactalk Slim on any of my helmets, and I was able to install that pretty easily in this helmet. It has pockets for speakers in the helmet. It even has inserts in there that let you move if the speakers are too thin, you can leave those inserts in, mount the speakers to the insert, and get it much closer to your ear to get a really proper rich sound, so you're just not too far away from your ear and getting drowned out from the road noise. And overall, the helmet itself, like I said, quality material, quality build, and just easy to use. So I'm just going to kind of strip it apart right now. So chin curtain pops right off. Just a few tabs on it that'll help it slide in. The neck roll and cheek pads, they're one piece. They're one piece together, and they work by snaps. So there's 3 snaps on the cheek pad, and then it's all one piece with the neck roll. Comes right off, and then just give it a little pull. Again, it just clips in around between the shell and the EPS, and then that just leaves the inner portion. And for the headliner, for the liner, it doesn't go all the way back. That's a one piece, like you can kind of see that red section right there, that stays in the helmet. And just before that, there's a little bit of a gray area. You just separate that in 2 tabs, and the headliner or the liner comes right out. And then it just snaps into the front, pops right out. Very easy to take out and clean. You do have to clean these things. The amount of dirt and grime and grit that you just get in it just from being on the road and exposed to the outside of the road while riding, things get in there. You do need to clean these. It's advisable. You do not want to put them in a washing machine because that rinse with the spin tends to stretch this out because it's a foam and material, once it gets wet and it spins, if it stretches, it won't fit back in the helmet properly. It's, again, real simple. It snaps back in really easy. And I don't think I will be able to show it to you, but basically there are pockets right here for a speaker. So that's where your comm speakers go. There's enough room for you to leave the wiring in there. In my case, my PackTalk Slim battery went here. The controller went right here, and that's it. My friends have a PackTalk Bold as well. Again, it's just a 1-piece instead of a 2-piece. That just clips on right here with the same type of slide, and it works well with this helmet. Another very useful little trick that Shoei does is if you look at this helmet, it's kind of got a up and down shape right here. Instead of kind of being one of the, most helmets kind of come straight across or they fit kind of flat. This is it serves a purpose. So one of the annoying things with full face helmets is that you've kind of got to squeeze them and then jam your head in there. And by giving you that kind of cut right there and where the foam sits, it's just one area where it's not going to be additionally a solid piece that you've got to squeeze your head by. So it just makes sliding in and out of the helmet a little bit more easier. Again, so, Shoei's definitely done their homework when it's come to design of the helmet. Also, I forgot to mention that there is the breath guard, and it is removable. It comes off quite easily. It's just a piece of rubber shaped to fit right in, and it helps kind of keep the breath away from going directly onto the visor and kind of gives it a little bit more of a direction towards you. Again, that's a little bit more for, my understanding is for fogging and condensation, but with the pin lock system, it's not something I've ever worried about. What more can I say other than, it's been my favorite helmet for a very long time. And the fact that I don't use it anymore has nothing to do with the fact that it's a bad helmet. I made a bad decision when I purchased it because I purchased it at the wrong size. So when I purchased this helmet originally, I bought it as an XL. And it fit me very well as an XL. And what I didn't take into consideration was the quality of these cheek pads. And everything fit in really well and snug, and then eventually they broke in. And it got so much more comfortable. But because of that, and because the neck roll is one piece, I started to get a lot of draft in from around the neck roll. And when the weather got cooler, it was starting to cause me a little bit of discomfort in the colder weather, especially with the cold air and just kind of almost like blowing directly up my nose at some points. So that's what caused me to switch to a different helmet. And then when that helmet had some issues I didn't consider as well, I switched back to Shoei. And when making the switch, I with all intentions, planned on getting this exact helmet, but in a large. Ended up getting, I guess it's its track cousin. So I got the X Spirit Air 3, or X Spirit 3, I believe is the name. It was just a random event. I walked in, I saw the helmet, fell in love with it. But with all good intention, I went there particularly to buy this exact same helmet, one size down. What more can I say? I mean, it's a phenomenal helmet. I loved wearing it. I love wearing it. It even had a decent, flat enough surface where I could get a GoPro mount on there. And do some vlogging with it. So it's definitely one of my top 5 favorite helmets. I can't recommend it highly enough to anybody out there looking for a new helmet. Thank you so much for sticking around until this point. If you're still here, please subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Give me a like if you like it. And, you know, just join the family, man. Please subscribe. And check out my Instagram. You'll see the link in the outro. Peace.